Ariwola tells judges. What's your take on this statement?
But the CJN also, the CJN is saying it has a point. See, court. I had a friend that is a judge. He told me one of the things that he said most of them cases are being decided in two factors: one through law, and one through this other one that he told me. Now, the facts is saying that it's not through public opinion. It has a point. Let us look at, for example, what just happened in Kano. The court cases are just that's one decided by tribunal. Now, the tribunal now allocating saying that 165,000 votes counted for NNPP. The winner, the governor of Kano State, was not stamped and was not signed. And the question I asked is, who is the responsibility of stamping ballot paper? Who has the responsibility of signing ballot paper? It is the INEC. And now using whether it is true that the INEC did not do their job and they counted this vote for NNPP, we now use the vote to punish NNPP. Now, when it is often said that a case that is in the court, you cannot comment on the substitute. I think court is the last hope of any common man. By the time the judiciary, Nigerians don't have hope on the judiciary again, I think there will be a lawless society. The CJN also should do something about the cases, tribunal cases that all of them will go to the tribunal, so that there will be hope of common man. And also the court is not a center to allocate vote, because somebody can just buy form and just wait for when the tribunal is being constituted. He now go to the court, so they want to declare him a winner. I think something needs to be done about that. Now going forward, like what he says, our constitution gives us, they have 3 lists. We need to get this thing right here. We have 3 lists. We have the exclusive list. That list, there are issues, there are aspects that has to do with federal government. That's like the aquatic, all those things has to do with the federal government. You have another, you have concurrent list. There is a list that only the state government can legislate. You have the residual list, which for the local government. I think there are responsibility that are solely for FG. Like what my brother said, it is FG to partner with the local government, so that everybody in Nigeria need to do something. Right, let us go. I think we're not here last Thursday. What happened in a Ministry of Works? The minister has complained that each time he goes to work, he will find 5. If he asks for 100% of file, he will only see 5%. People don't. The civil servant don't come to work. Now, the minister go to work that day around after 9, and he now lock the gate. Now, after locking the gate, those civil servants that came late, they revolted. They locked the ministers in. Even the Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos, said that went to pay the costly visit to the minister, did not be able to access. Now, the problem we are having, as we are blaming the leaders, as you rightly said, as you said, the government, we should blame the followers. Even the follower has problem. Now, you are being paid. It is in the civil service rule that you must come to work by 8 o'clock. You resume the one makes you not to come to work by 8 o'clock. Now, if you are blaming the minister, now you see what Umahi did when he was a governor. He want to replicate the same in Ministry of Works, and now there's no cooperation in the Ministry of Works. How can Umahi work? Because only Umahi cannot do it. So the problem is, as you are blaming the vocal leaders, let us also blame the followers.
Let's go to certificate issue, Tinubu certificate. We don't have time for frivolous issues. I am not bagging Atiku over forgery allegations, says our governor. Chicago Varsity vindicates Tinubu presidency, insists Atiku files documents today. Victor?
Please, briefly, Mr. Bright, permit me to just say something about the issue we raised there. It's about time we also respect the judges, because, like now, when they give judgment in Kano, people revolted, but the same judgment has been given in Nasarawa State, sacking the APC governor, who. So at that point, nobody will revolt. So the man at the bottom is always prone to crying. Now, another thing is this, Mr. Bright. If your child, if you have this paper in your hand and you want to give to your child, and that child comes in the usual Nigerian way, raise the shoulder and say, oh, if I don't get this thing, person go die for this house. Sometimes some father will tell you, you will not get that thing so that I will die. While we preach for the government to do the right thing, we also want the followers to be decent in their approach toward this, all these things. Now, we talk about Nigerian certificate issue. In Nigeria, I hardly see big men who read. What I even want is good governance. Abraham Lincoln historically never went to school. Now, if the president has violated the Constitution, it should be handled constitutionally. I have no say as it concerns that. The minimum qualification in this country, the last time I checked, was NEPA bill and some document. Even some people who are even looking for this thing file custom papers when they were seeking for presidency. We have all these things. What I want is that even if you are bringing a stark illiterate that can transform this economy, that can bring the magic we need, provide welfare for good Nigerians, I am okay with that. Whatever has to do with the Constitution, let the judges, the CGN and his group decide.
Thank God we are not a lawyer who have asked you the difference between evidence and fact. Point of correction. The minimum qualification is not NEPA bill.
No, I said people have used. Okay. I said people. The last time I checked, people have used NEPA bill. I said
become the president.
Yeah, become president, and some people who are even looking for another person's paper use custom document, and they have cases with Ali button stuck in the same US. They have not provided those things and return our oil money and our block to us.
Okay, let's go to UAE. Officials of UAE in Nigeria for final push to lift visa ban. That's a good news there. Federal government to convert 10 million PMS vehicle to CNG. Naira amongst Africa's worst currency falls by 40%, says World Bank. This one will interest all of us. Economic crisis. State borrows 46 billion naira from banks to pay salaries. And the bank that are affected are Access Bank, Fidelity, Zenith, lend state 46 billion in 6 months as government battles poor IGR. Another writer says Fiscal Responsibility Commission issues guideline to bank on lending to states and MDAs. What's your take on this economy?
Brad, I read that story, and also the few things that have, the few events that have happened few days about the labor now asking going on strike on the treating strike on the third, which they did not. And I read all their agreement with the FG. Now the question I ask, they are now proposing 100 to 200,000 as a minimum wage. And the question I ask, if they pay, will the state be able to pay? Now I knew that there are some states that receive 2 billion naira. That 2 billion naira, the security board is there, the money, the wage bill of political civil servant and political office holder is there. Sometimes the money that all of them, some of them will take and start somewhere is there. Is building.
Did you do your research well?
Yeah, some 2 billion, some 3.
In Nigeria that collects 2 billion.
They asked how much the Cross River State and Osun State is collecting. Go and find out. The last they almost 2 or 3 billion naira. Now the question now is most of the state are borrowing money to pay. Now when the federal government, because according to them they say they have shifted the strike to 1 month so that they'll be able to accommodate those. And the question I was asked, Bride, is I'm not against NLC going on strike. Bride, they have removed subsidy on DPK, that is kerosene. Labor did not go on strike. They removed subsidy in AGO, that's the diesel. Labor did not go on strike. And you know the AGO affect production. All the production is being by is AGO. That's why you have a lot of inflation. Now, but immediately affect PMS, which is the petrol, they will go on strike. And the question is, why did the labor not go on strike? Why did the labor not react when from 210 to 220, federal government used almost 10 trillion naira to try to revamp a moribund refinery that was not working? I think labor should have gone on strike on that. Like what is happening, most states will not be able to pay salary because most of them don't have IGR. Most of them, the money they don't, that's the money coming from allocation, because most of the state now is the Nigerian Nigeria now is on mono economy. Even the state on Nasarawa state, you see Nasarawa, the state they have this gold. That is a problem. They are accusing federal government of negotiation. Samfara. The federal government is accusing them of shielding bandit. And they have some Indians, some foreigners that were there carrying our gold for free. And we have a lot of I think the last I read about almost 200 of natural resources which we have not exploited. But everybody is now relying on oil. All the states are now sitting down, holding their leg, waiting for 15 of every month to go to Abuja, sending their commissioner for finance for allocation meeting. Whatever they now collect the money, come and share. Anybody, if it doesn't reach you, you just wait for another month. If the money doesn't reach you, go to bank and borrow money. It is high time we diversify our economy.
Yes,
Any state, like what happened in those days in a before advent of oil in 1973, cocoa, most of the state has their natural resources, and you pay some percentage to the federal government. I think we should go back to that, so that if something is not done, there will be a state that even the money they collected will not be able to even to pay the governor. I know some governors are collecting over 2 billion naira in their
money
security.
They should go back. It's what I was about saying. IGR, internal generated revenue.
Yes.
Can states generate revenue
Mr.
like
Bright,
other states? There's so many things they can do instead of waiting.
I ask question. Your state is collecting less. Your state is collecting less money. Why do you go to the office and become richer? If your state is collecting 2 billion and before you leave office you're already 10 billion naira richer than you went into the office. We have to elect people who are creative, people who are thinking, people who want to do. The bank, we are talking about bank borrowing money now. We brought Anchor Borrowers Program from CBN. How many of these banks directly partner with customers who are their farmers, who are their own customers to develop the economy? But they want to where they can jointly pay government money.
Two more stories before we run out of here. Illegal adoption. We have to take this because it is pathetic. Illegal adoption. Anambra hands over orphanage founder to NAPTIP. You see, and if the director can give us that picture, a very old woman getting involved in this kind of business.
It is happening everywhere.
It's happening everywhere.
I've seen it in Eke.
You see the one you join in
predominant in Aba. The one they even do, they bring people, you go, you get pregnant, you go there and give birth to a child, or they give you a man that will impregnate you, you give birth to a child, you are paid, you leave the baby. It's happening. Some students are even being used in this state. I'm sorry to say that. To get this, they call it baby factory. These are the things we need to stop.
Okay, so that's one ministerial nominee friends. A journalist dies in National Assembly shuttle. What a sight!
It's a fainting of joy.
Fainting joy. I think it is very big. I pray he should recover quickly.
He did not die. He stood up. 10 minutes later, he was addressing the press.
Journalist.
It was just no, not about the journalist. Talk about the minister. The journalist case is unfortunate. So whatever happened, I think for someone to stay in the bus, he was not shot, he was not beaten. It was nothing happened, and he must have had some problem. The minister said he was suffering some exhaustion.
Sooner or later we will get to know what really happened, whether he was afraid of handling some questions or something happened.
He actually answered questions.
Also the youth bill also, most of these ministers, some I know Tinubu have brought in some young people into it, because if it's a young man that was then
young people have always ruled this country and disappointed. One was young, Babangida was young, Abacha was young. Let us be very realistic. Donald Duke was young.
No, I mean he wouldn't have slum. He was a young
so much, Comrade Victor. Thanks for being part of the show, and also Comrade Donald Noah. Thanks for being. My name remains Bright Solution. Let's wait for ID James and his guests. Please stay tuned.
Fire. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Focus AM45, where we delve into important topics that impact our lives. So today we are discussing a topic that affects us. It affects every one of us. I don't know, but it affects everybody. I'm very, very sure. We're talking about crisis management in relationships, and today we are not talking about just romantic relationships. We're talking about platonic relationships, relationships with your parents, relationship with your friends, relationship with everyone you find around you. And my guest today is Chituru Anukuru, right?
Yes.
Hope I pronounced it right.
You tried not to murder it. Anukuru.
All right, so
Yeah.
Chituru is our guest this morning, and we'll be talking on the topic crisis management in relationships. Welcome, Chituru, and
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
So let's start by defining what constitutes a crisis in a relationship. In your opinion, what do you think constitutes a crisis in any relationship?
What constitutes crisis in relationship? I think there are many factors actually. We have money. Like,
Okay, very important.
We have money. Like there is the money factor, finances,
Okay.
both in relationship with parents, relationship with your friends. You see where people are having a very wonderful relationship, but then when money comes in, oh, you're supposed to give me this particular amount of money, and then there's an issue, or it just happens
Yeah.
with money, and then there's jealousy. I know that everyone has a tendency of being jealous,
Yeah.
but then there are just some people who are overboard with it. So I'll give you a story. Coming here to Akwa Ibom, I did not exactly have lots of friends.
Okay.
I had friends in Port Harcourt. Now I began to make friends here in Akwa Ibom, and my friends in Port Harcourt began to have issues with that. So one of them reached out to me, and she was like, "You no longer have my time. Now you are with your people in Uyo and all those stuff." And I'm like, "It's not like that, actually." I had to explain to her and then try to see reasons that I really cannot be on my own here, so I have to talk to people.
Yeah,
you don't need so.
yeah.
I realized that
People around
if
you.
it was not managed properly, I bet you would have had a serious issue. But then, so there's finances, there's jealousy, there's for romantic relationship, there's intimacy and all of that. So yeah, there are lots of factors that would actually constitute crisis in a relationship.
How about communication?
Communication
be a major problem.
is a very big one, because if you're not able to explain, if you're not able to say, okay, what is going on at this point in time, if you're, sometimes people just expect their friends or their partners to assume, understand, you should know this thing, I don't need to tell you.
Yeah,
You can't expect me to just know these things if you don't say it. And then when your partner doesn't know this thing, it's an issue, it is a problem. But how do you expect me to know it when you don't say anything? So communication is actually very, very important, and it brings it up. It can actually lead to crisis in a relationship when there is a lack of communication.
Okay, so talking about what constitutes crisis in a relationship, can you tell us some common signs that a relationship is going into crisis?
Common signs that a relationship is going into crisis: constant arguments.
Okay.
Especially arguments on the same thing. Like, you've talked about this thing before. And then you keep going over it again. But I apologize. Okay, the next day it comes up again. Like, constant argument about a particular issue. It's actually a sign that this relationship is heading to crisis. And then I would say, how do I put it now? You're beginning to not enjoy this person's company anymore. So before now, you and your friends, you would always want to be around your friend. You would always want, even when you have nothing to talk about, you're on video call for, you're washing clothes, you're on video call, you're sitting in the house, you're on video call, you're talking, you enjoy, you just always want to be around this person. But then all of a sudden, it's as though you don't want to talk to this person again. I'm busy, I want to close the door, I'll call you back. You need to find really silly excuses why you don't want to be around this person.
This reminds me of a thread that has been going around this week, I think early this week, about men in a relationship. Well, they kept talking about how when they get tired of their women and how they react, and then you see that these were things that were not there in the beginning of the relationship. There were things that they would love these people around, but then these people just talking to you it irritates you.
Yes.
The person around you alone irritates you. Calling
like,
this person, you don't want to call this person. You don't want to talk to this
and these
person.
are things you would normally do before. You would want to do them, but now it's like it's a drag for you to do it, for you to call, for you to be around them.
That's true. That's true. All right. So moving on. Can you, Chituru, please tell us what are some strategies that people can employ when they are facing a crisis in their relationship?
Strategies
To help curb, should I say curb or eliminate crisis in their relationship?
I think communication has to come in here again.
Very important.
You will have to talk about it. You need to know, okay, maybe you're having an issue about a particular thing, yeah, and you have been expecting this person to just assume and know this thing, or you're expecting this person to just understand these things. I feel the number one thing you have to do is to communicate. So I'll give another example. Right, I had an issue with my friend one time in when I was in school and all that, and it kept on happening. Like, we kept on having issues back to back, my female friend, and I was not really understanding why. So one day I just called her, like, we're going to have a meeting. When I mean a meeting, I told her to come out. We met outside. On a table, like, she was here, I was here, and we talked at length that day. It actually helped. Like, I explained everything that she has been doing that I really do not like, and she talked about what she doesn't like about myself and all that. We talked at length, and then we reached the point of reconciliation, and ever since then it has been amazing. So communication is very, very important for you, for your partner, for your friends to know what they are doing wrong.
Sure.
Because most times we expect people to know that I cannot know what you don't want me to do if you don't tell me. So communication is very, very important.
But you know, people really have issues with communicating sometimes. It's not like they don't want to talk about these things, but then they feel like if they talk about it, it's going to bring up more issues.
Yeah, but then just try first. Talk about it first. Let's see if it's going to bring up more issues. If it does, and we know this person in question doesn't want to repent, this other person doesn't want to listen, but you have done your part. You just need to talk.
So in such a situation, let's take for an example, you, like you said, you had an issue with your friend, and then let's say the friend was tired of the relationship. But let's say she wasn't tired of the relationship, but probably you were, and then she wants to talk about it, but you don't want to talk about it. Okay, the one party wants to talk about it, but the other doesn't want to talk about it because he or she knows that when they talk about it, the relationship might break up, and they don't want to break up. So in a situation like that, what do you do? One person wants to remain in the relationship, one doesn't want to.
Relationship is not a do or die affair. I hope you don't know that. I mean, you don't have to be friends with somebody for the rest of your life. If someone doesn't want to be friends with you, I don't think you should be pushing for it like so much. But then there is the case of bringing a third party. Right? If this person doesn't want to talk, I'm sure you will have mutual friends. You can talk to your mutual friend about it and get the mutual friends, okay, I'm talking to Edith, and then Edith is going to talk to Esther about the whole thing. It mustn't be you. If this person doesn't want to talk to you about it, you can explain the whole thing. Even the Bible says that now. Bring the elders in and let them know. So you can talk to your friends, and then let's see how it goes from there.
The whole third party thing is a whole lot sometimes.
Yeah, but it helps too. Especially in situations like this, when this person doesn't want to talk, what else do we do? If you don't want to talk about it, what do you want me to do?
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of open relationship or open communication in a relationship. So please, can you provide tips for effective communication during crisis?
Tips for effective communication.
What tips can you use? Let's say you want to have that conversation with your friend and talk about it. Let's put this down. Let's know what the problem is really, so the issue doesn't escalate. What tips can you give? Okay. How can we communicate in a way that won't bring more problems?
Okay. First off, you have to know what this person likes, what he or she is okay with. Now, if your friend is someone who would prefer a call rather than a face-to-face conversation, please do that. Let it be a call, so we don't have issues where somebody is throwing hands and all that. Yeah. And then for face-to-face conversations, our advice, even if both of you are not partners, right, you can actually get gifts. I know you're coming to talk about things, right, but if someone is already pissed about a particular thing, getting them something they really love has a way to water their heart. So imagine you're getting them a hair or a wristwatch or something, like, okay, I know we're here to talk about this issue, but then just look at this first. I got this for you. you. It's like it does something. So it just has a way of watering down their heart, and then they are now open to listen to what you have to say to them. Ensure that the environment is serene. Please, it should not be somewhere that is very noisy. It should be somewhere that is actually calm, and then you want to pay for the entire space. Depends on both of you. Yeah, but I feel that would work. Just try to get them something first of all before you talk about whatever it is you want to talk about.
Oh, that's a great point. Thank you so much, Chituru.
Yeah.
And before we round up, are there any specific strategies or technique that people can use to prevent minor issues from escalating in their relationships?
Forgiving easily.
Forgiving
And try to forget as well. I know that it's easy to forget.
To forgive.
I know it's difficult to forget, rather. It's easy to forgive, but it's difficult to forget. So you say, oh, you did this, I've forgiven you. And then the next day, this other person does something to you. You're like, but I forgave you when you did it. Don't go back to it. It actually makes people get pissed more. Like, if you have forgiven me, they don't talk about it over and over and over. So if you're trying to see how issues do not escalate, try your best to forget things when they happen. Just move on. Don't live on the past. The past is the past. Just let it be. Move on to the next. If someone does something else, just forget the past. It has gone with yesterday. We are now in today. Live in today. Live in the moment. That way it helps prevent issues when you're living in, not you keep going back to what they did the other day, what they did the day before, and all of that, and then try not to pile things up. I mean, someone does something today, tomorrow, you don't say anything, and then one day
I've gotten it here. I can't take it anymore.
And I'll be like, oh, so you have been piling things up, and it makes your friend even get pissed. Like, why did you not say anything to me all of this time? All right, so try to just say things as they come. Forget about them as well. Don't keep them in. Just
because you try to have a conversation with somebody, and then the person is mentioning things that happened 2 years ago,
and
1 year ago, like, when did this happen?
Why did you not say anything to me when it happened? So just try to say these things and forget about them. Just live in the moment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chituru, for giving us those points. And this is to everyone out there. In case you're having a crisis, you're currently facing a crisis in your relationship, whatever relationship it is. I know we've not really spoken about, but even within your relationship with your parents, you should know how you relate with your parents. So, because people don't know how to relate with their parents well, and that's why they have family problems.
True.
So if you relate with your family very well, you won't have as much issues as you say. My family, we there is love in my family. I would say there is so much love in my family. Then my uncle would say that we are together, strong and together as we are today, because we swallow nonsense. So don't say I don't take rubbish, I don't take nonsense, I won't take that rubbish from you. So if you actually want to live in peace with somebody, you have to learn to take nonsense.
I'm telling you,
have to learn to swallow a whole lot of rubbish. So this is to everyone going through a crisis out there, or I know we are all in relationships, so this is for you to know how to manage your relationships. In case you did not know how to, please learn from what Chituru has told us this morning. Thank you so much for staying with us till the end of this program, to the end of this segment, and thank you so much, Chituru.
Thank
you for all the tips you have given us. We are going to work on it. All right, so right after this there will be an interview on the State of the Nation segment, so don't go anywhere. After this very short break, ID James will be here for the interview. Thank you. My name is Esther Mbekot.